What's up, everyone? I'm Jasmine Harper,
Ugh. What's up, everybody? I'm Corey Ritter
and we're your host
of the VoiceBox.
The VoiceBox is an original WNCU podcast
that serves as an outlet for community members like you to connect with local businesses, entrepreneurs, and resource centers.
We're here to inspire, share stories, and uplift voices.
Welcome to the VoiceBox.
Hey, everybody, we're back for episode 3 of the VoiceBox. My name's Corey. I'm your host, and we're with
Cicely Mitchell, Dr. Cicely Mitchell, the owner of Missy Assembly Room and festival producer extraordinaire.
Ooh, extraordinaire. Before we dive in, we have some fun questions. Or we have a fun question. What's your sign, and do you align with any of its characteristics?
Oh, yes. So I'm a Taurus. I think Taurus are very loyal, very regimented, down to earth, rooted. So, but definitely kind of headstrong. So yeah, that's me all the way,
all day, every day. See me, I'm a Virgo personally. You know, what you mean? What you mean?
Wait, so I mean, aren't we? It's Virgo energy right
Virgo
now.
Virgo energy.
Yeah.
Yes, Virgo season right now. Yeah, I'm a Virgo. I personally feel like I do align with, my sign. I feel like I am very overly analytic, and I do feel like I can be, a little petty sometimes, but it's okay.
Man.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So for the first question I have for you today, can you share a little bit about your background and what shaped who you are today?
Okay. So I'm originally from Tennessee, West Tennessee, very small town Southern girl. I went to undergraduate school at Tennessee State University, so HBCU. Did the whole Black college thing for undergrad, pledged and all of that, and then came to UNC for grad school, and then just kind of stayed. My career is in statistics, so I do statistics for clinical trials. I've been doing that for about 25 years. I met Al Strong when I was in graduate school, and we started Art of Cool together, which was a jazz nonprofit here in Durham. And then we started doing pop-up jazz performances. And then that snowballed over the 15 years into now having Missy Lane's Assembly Room and having done Art of Cool Festival. Then sold the festival right before the pandemic, and then after the pandemic opened up Missy Lane's, and I've been producing festivals ever since. So I produced Biscuits and Banjos for Miss Rhiannon Giddens earlier this year, and then now we're resurrecting the spirit of Art of Cool Festival through our block party, which will be October 4th.
Oh, nice. Can you share what inspired your journey to entrepreneurship? How has that path unfolded for you? I know you mentioned how you was producing for festivals, how you produced the biscuits
and banjos,
yes. And the Art of Cool Festival. So how did that journey start for you?
Okay. So I started by literally trying to solve a problem for Al Strong, which was he wanted to do more of his own concerts instead of being background music at like a bar. He just wanted to do more concerts. So that's hard to do if some of the big spaces here downtown are like DPAC, where it's like thousands of people, or Carolina Theater. We needed a smaller performing arts space. And so we got very scrappy. We would take over art galleries downtown, and then after art would be going on or art shows, then we would flip the room and put down chairs and PA and stuff like that and make our own jazz club in art galleries. And so that's how we came up with the name Art of Cool. We wanted to say jazz without saying jazz. So it's a flip on just an art gallery pop-up with the rebirth of Cool, which is a famous album by Miles Davis.
Yeah.
So that's how we got started. And literally it was just a ragtag bunch of people who just love jazz and was trying to carve a space for the community. And then over time, it built into a festival and now a music venue.
I love the play on words. That's just the article. I think that's such a very clever idea.
Thank you.
So that leads me into like my next question. For those who may not know, I know you've touched on it a bunch already, but could you dive a little bit deeper into the Art of Cool project? What makes it so special? I know you've already like mentioned how special it is, but like, could you touch on it a little more?
So the mission of Art of Cool was to expand the audience for jazz. It First of all, the name is just, I guess, really cool.
I think it's pretty cool.
So the name alone, I think, has become, at least in this area regionally, kind of iconic or legendary.
Yeah.
But the goal of it is to expand the audience for jazz, and that means expanding jazz. Not We're going to honor the tradition of jazz, but we're also going to try to appeal to a newer audience. Newer audience could be younger people. Newer audience could be outside of Black people. It could be within Black people, because there are some genres or flavors of jazz that certain people like. For example, an older couple may like the more traditional jazz. They may say in their mind, this is what jazz is, as opposed to, if I was to talk to a younger person, jazz right now would be maybe Kiefer or Casa Overall or Robert Glasper, where the I guess underlying tone is R&B or alternative R&B, but there's improvisational aspects to it. So I think that's one reason why people really took to Art of Cool, was because it was more for the jazz curious and not the jazz super serious and like gatekeeping.
Yeah.
We were more kind of, and that's, we still carry that premise today with Missy Lanes. We're not your average jazz club. First of all, you don't hear of jazz clubs opening in today's time. Most of the time you hear about legendary jazz clubs closing because there's not enough audience. And so what we decided to do is just meet people where they are. Most people either study listening to jazz, or they relax listening to jazz. So most people are already open to learning more about the music, but most people don't know where to start, right? Like it could get really I guess off-putting, like not knowing where to start. Or if you ask somebody, oh, you like jazz, and then they probably going to say someone that has passed on, right? It's like, oh, who's your favorite jazz person? They'll be like, oh, John Coltrane. I mean, it's kind of like the only genre where like the most popular album historically every year is kind of blue.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, when most people want to start learning about jazz, most people are going to say, start with this album. Because it's perfect. And it's a perfect album.
It's a perfect album.
But there's something about that, like for me, I'm on this mission to expand that. Like you don't, if you like, I don't know, there's like hip hop jazz or stretch music or stuff like that. That's a great way to kind of get into the rabbit hole of what jazz is. So that's why when we program it, we don't just program the legends. We program who's new, or who we think is going to blow in a few years. Like that's our calling card. So I think Art of Cool really sat in that pocket to where we were gaining new audience members through storytelling, really, because I'm a product of like the golden age of hip hop, and most of the golden age of hip hop were sampling jazz albums. That's how I got introduced to jazz. I'm 48, so that means Cosby Show, which even the song trailer, like when it came on, it had Bobby McFerrin, scatting. And I was like, I want to know who that person is, right? And then you learn who Bobby McFerrin is, which, by the way, his daughter is going to be here. next month. Her name's Madison McFerrin, and she's amazing. His kids are carrying on the tradition of jazz. So this is what, kind of our mission is like, hey, there's Bobby McFerrin, which, my age group will remember from Don't Worry, Be Happy. Hopefully you guys know that, still know that song. But, and then now there's the Offspring, right? And so connecting those dots, or for instance, Nas's Illmatic album, people love Whose World Is This? So Whose World Is This is actually a sample of Ahmad Jamal's I Love Music. So that dun, 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 like literally that we try to tell that story, because like that's why you like that song, is that melody. Well, that melody comes from the, rest in peace Ahmad Jamal, but like NEA jazz master Ahmad Jamal was a pianist. And so that's how we try to kind of help the jazz curious get to and bridge the gap with the jazz serious, who would know who Ahmad Jamal is. And so, yeah, that's our mission.
I think bridging that gap is very important between especially between generations, because I'll talk to my father sometimes about music, and he'll be like, this song, and I do know that song because of this, and I'll make that correlation, especially when I'm listening to music and it has jazz samples in it.
Yep.
So that leads me to, or it doesn't lead me to my next question. My next question, but how did the vision for Missy Lane's Assembly Room come about, and how has it grown into what it is today?
So Missy Lane's was always like, as we started doing pop-ups for Art of Cool, we started to realize, man, it would be really cool if we, although it's cool to be nomadic and pop up in art spaces, it's also something to be said to get to the point where you can put down roots, right? And you can have a home for jazz instead of just a pop-up for jazz, where we all can then converge on this space at any given time. And it just be a resource for the community. So very early on in the first few years of Art of Cool, just doing pop-ups, it was like, it would be so cool if we actually had our own club. And then you just, start to write a business plan and then try to manifest, where's this money going to come from? It took 15 years. It took 15 years to get to be able to pull the trigger and do something like a Missy Lane's. And so just like how musicians, people think that musicians blew up overnight, it's the same thing with like any big grand idea, is just putting in the work year after year after year, and then being in position to be able to pull the trigger on whatever your dream is. Because I think, some people kind of look at what we're doing and then they see Missy Lane's. Missy Lane is like a year, almost 2 years old, and they'd be like, oh, they just got here. It's like, how many pop-ups I had to do, how many festivals I had to do, how much my own money I had to put behind it in order to pull the trigger on a Missy Lane's. So that's how we kind of got here, is over time just putting in the work, being consistent, being a type of organization of like, if I tell you I'm gonna do a festival, I'm doing a festival. Like, you're not gonna hear about me pump faking on a festival and being like, oh, it's canceled. And just being that kind of, standing on business type person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely not an overnight thing. It actually took, from concept, just once we finally got the money to do it, it took about a year, just to like build all of this out. As far as the vision for it, having put in all that work with pop-ups, and even there was a coffee shop down the street that I used to book for called BU Cafe. Learning how to book on a more consistent basis, like every, two shows a week, and then building up to like we present almost every night. That takes a level of, it's just like working out. It's just like working out, getting your reps up. Like, it took that long to learn how to operate a place like this, and still learning. Like, I didn't learn food and beverage. I was so focused back here on like the musical experience and how to book that, and just making connections even with the artists, that once it's time to do this, then we had to learn. This was easy. This back part was easy, just entertaining people. Now it's, oh, we're babies learning how to do bar and kitchen, right? And so always constantly learning. And the vision for Missy Lanes, I mean, it evolves. You know, I thought we would just, you know, entertain people and serve, you know, beer, wine, cocktails. And then as people got in here, they were like, you know, I would like some food. You know what I'm saying? And in my mind, I'm like, that's not what we do. So for a whole year, it was kind of like, okay, what kind of food? And then just listening to people and allowing people's vision for what you want. I mean, we're still grounded in our vision as like a community space and a legendary space where we want the jazz masters to tour through, but then also allowing people to kind of help us shape the experience as well. Yep. But I knew I needed 2 rooms. I needed a room where jazz was a backdrop and people wanted to just be social. They didn't really want to be a part of the experience, but they wanted it to be a backdrop to them, you know, for a date or meeting with
just
someone or just
town.
So that's why we had to have the front cocktail bar. I've always wanted a piano in the space. That's one thing is very hard to find in most bars. You know, people that would invest not in an upright, but in a baby grand or a grand piano. I just think that that exudes class. It also says that we're serious about music, right? So we had to have that in the front so that people can play acoustic or jam session. And then in the back is for those people who do want that New York experience, who do want to feel like I stepped into a Spike Lee movie and this is, you know, it's that that vibe. So that's what the back is about. It is a proper show. It is about being an audience member. But I did want to have those 2 experiences with jazz because some people think that this back part is what jazz is about, and then some people locally think the front part is what jazz is about. So I'm trying to meet people where they're at. And then hopefully, you know, if you were a person that was more like a background music person, you'd be curious about what it's like to be in this, you know, showroom area and be an audience member. And so that is the vision and goal of Missy Lanes. Is, you know, you don't have to be a jazz head to come here. You just you know, lover of music, lover of experiences.
And I think being a lover of music, like having that front room, will allow people who haven't been like who haven't listened to a jazz song or haven't been in a space with like people who listen to jazz music. I feel like that does bring that comfortability to people coming in. So my next question is I've noticed that you wear many hats as a former artistic director of Summer Stage at Golden Belt, a creative director for jazz programming at BU Cafe, and current senior director of biostatistics for Cineos Health. How do you find balance in managing all of those things?
So I think there's an assumption that balance is there. Unfortunately, and especially if you ask my fiance, there is no balance. And I'm fine with that, only because once you learn what your purpose is in life, I mean, that's just the path that you're going to go down. Like, my purpose in life is to help expand the audience for jazz. I mean, even just talking to Chief Ajua, he was like, no, really, you are like the fairy godmother of this music. Like, there's not that many people. So the jazz community is very small. I think only 6% of music listeners or people who stream jazz. So I mean, we're talking a very, 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 very small community within the United States, right? So the players know everybody. There's probably a handful of dedicated jazz spaces. So even for a new one to pop up, that is a luxury in this community. And so, but once you know, like, that's my purpose in life, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be sitting here, right? I don't come from money. This was all sweat equity, you know what I'm saying, to get to this moment, and to be able to then usher in this sort of space for the community. So there's no balance. I'm like all gas, like trying to do as much as I can with the time that I have to lay the foundation for people to experience this music, but then also so it can live on, because this is ours. It came with us to Congo Square. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then once learned how powerful it is, people outside of our community tried to control it and tried to make it be something else. And that's the thing about jazz and Black American music that is so freeing, right? You can try to study it and put it in a museum just like they did jazz, just like they're currently trying to do hip hop, because you can study hip hop at different colleges now. And as soon as you do that and someone try to study it and try to make a formula, our music is just so freeing. I mean, there's a form to it, but then there's also this freedom of expression and improvisation. And so for me, I'm kind of like one of those people where it's just like, I feel like it's my mission to make sure that our music and our culture is protected. Only way that can happen is if we're at the forefront of producing it, making sure that it is a representation of what our culture is. And so yeah, it's all gas. It's not much balance there. Usually there are some people that's just like, okay, we're just gonna chill, like we're not gonna do, but so many things this year. And so this year was about getting 2 festivals off. I currently don't have any festivals planned for 2026, because it is, except for the block party, it's October. It's always the first Saturday of October, but no major festivals. Like, I'm not taking on any for next year, because I have 2 for 2027. So I guess balance comes with like what projects I'm going to fully focus on at a time.
I feel that's a good way to balance everything out. Can you tell us about your upcoming block party and what people can expect from it?
So the block party is supposed to be an annual event every first Saturday of October. And this first one is to celebrate what we've done with Art of Cool. Most of the people who are playing it are past alumni from Art of Cool. So this is a great reboot where those people who did come to Art of Cool in the past, who missed it, we can reminisce on the times that we had. And then those people who had heard about it but never got an opportunity to come, they can see what it was about. A lot of it is about, again, jazz expansion, jazz curious people who want to learn who's who. The whole point is that it is a choose your own adventure. The point is, you may not know who is on the bill. You're trusting the fact that we know who's on the bill, and that these are people who either are at the top of their game, or literally next time you see them is probably going to be at Red Hat or at a much bigger stage. For example, we were the first to bring Anderson .Paak. This was before Anderson .Paak was Anderson .Paak. He literally was at the pin hook, honey. You could see the yes, that's what we do. We had Masego before Masego was Masego. Masego's drummer is from Durham. And the way he got the drum gig was because I called him for the gig at BU. Masego has played a small, tiny little space. And that happened because of what we were doing with Art of Cool. Robert Glasper, before he blew up. Who else? The Internet and Sid. We had them at the Carolina Theater. Check me. Google me. But Art of Cool had all the people who are people right now back then. And so that's what we do. It's a trust the curator type of space. Those people who were, now they're on the top, bills at all these festivals. Our festival was about that. Our festival was about that life. We had Moonchild several times before Moonchild blew up. Yeah.
Yo, I didn't know so many big artists. The history in Durham is crazy.
Braxton Cook.
It's insane.
Yep.
It's insane. So that leads me to my last question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to any aspiring entrepreneurs, artists, or community builders who want to create something meaningful in their own cities?
Just get started. Get started with the resources that you have. The first pop-ups that we did, like, we were sweating bullets over like $800. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just take the budget that you have, get as creative and scrappy as you can, and just get started. Like, you don't have to sit around and wait until you get enough money to pull off a Missy Lanes, right? Just start with what's available and then build your community. That's it. And then the rest will come.
I think that's good advice. That's great advice right there. I think we can end it just like that. This was episode 3 of the VoiceBox. I hope you all enjoyed. We'll see you next time.
Peace.